Hey guys, Cardboard Box Productions here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Rabbids Rumble for the 3DS. This is actually a strange case among Rabbids games as well. Normally, whenever a different version of a Rabbids game is made for the handheld, they just still call it by the console equivalent. This one, they pretty much just said it for what it is, an entirely different game, which was definitely a good thing in my eyes. Anyway, I'll start with the story, which, it's Rabbids. It's nothing special. Well, especially nothing special. In this game, pretty much all the Rabbids in your game have gone loose, and you have to go around and collect them all. The presentation in this game is actually pretty good. The music is nice, and the Rabbids looked really good on the 3DS as opposed to on the DS. You know, probably my favorite part of this game is just all the different Rabbids. They always take on a unique appearance, normally based off of something, and they have funny names, and I felt motivated to collect them all. You go around on a world map, which is kind of like New Super Mario Bros., but unlike New Super Mario Bros., it actually has unique themes. Instead of cliche ones, it has, circus, space, food, sports, neighborhood, just the world, and horror, in that particular order. Man, Nintendo, when you're being outclassed by Rabbids, that's a sign you need to step up your game. The gameplay is broken up into two segments. One of them is minigames, and to be honest, these are Rabbids minigames, seriously. They are as simple can be, while the recent Rabbids games, even the one on this on the Wii counterpart, far outclass the ones on this. But then again, this game does have another aspect besides the minigames. The whole purpose of them is to earn chips, which you can use to unlock bonus areas for getting Rabbids, and bandages, which you can use to revive your Rabbids if they've been killed in a battle. And that brings me to the other part of the game, the battles. This game uses a fairly simple yet strategic battle system. Basically, there are 3 stats to each Rabbid, and they depend on attack. Your attacks will do more damage depending on how much more of a stat you have than your opponents. With the physical attacks, it's always red, and special attacks, it could be any 2 stats. Aside from the very first battle in the game, which is what you're seeing right now, which is essentially a tutorial, you always have 3 Rabbids with you, so they can kind of cancel out each other's weaknesses. But be careful, you can only switch out every few turns. Whenever you go to perform an attack, you have this wheel where you have to suggest where you hit it, and you can do regular damage, double damage, or if you miss, no damage at all. One thing I really liked about these battles was that they offered a surprising amount of strategy and kept that Rabbids charm that I really like. After a battle, you can choose a Rabbid that you fought in the battle that you haven't already unlocked, slap them silly, and then you unlock them as a character to play as. As per issues with this game, I can really only think of a few. For starters, there's the mini-games, like I said earlier, were not spectacular. In fact, they were pretty simplistic. They could be fun at points, but there's really nothing special about them. So of course the most sensible thing to do is only have 7 total minigames and just recycle them for the different worlds. I'm serious, that is what they do. There's only like 7 minigames in total, but they just make them harder and theme them for the world that they're in, which it was not a smart move on their part. Also, later in the game, these minigames can become infuriating to get 3 chips on, which is basically just dependent on your score. Trust me, it's really easy in the beginning of the game, but once you get to World Tour and Rabbid and Evil, oh boy are you in for a world of hurt. Also, while it was nice that they sort of took a page out of the Pokemon series by getting to use a rabbit that you got from the battles as a playable character, they made a major mistake. And not having the character be the same level as they were in the battle once you unlock them. Instead, they go right down to level 1, which is infuriating if you're trying to get all your rabbits up to snuff, because it has a lot of grinding. But by far, the biggest problem with this game is that you can't get all the rabbits in the main story. No, that's not the problem. The problem is that of how many you can't get in the main story. There's a total of 102 rabbits in this game. You can only get 52 in the main story. You know what that means. There's a total of 50 rabbits that you have to obtain through Street Pass, Spot Pass, or QR codes. Ubisoft, why did you think this was a good idea? This is a handheld Raving Rabbids game. Do you expect a ton of people to buy it? Not to mention people like me who don't exactly take their 3DS a lot of places, so we wouldn't be able to get them from Street Pass. And honestly, where am I going to find a QR code that would get me a rabbit in this game? And it would be, I'd be perfectly fine with it if it was like 3 per thing, but no. There's a total of 50 not in the main story, and that is just messed up. In total, Rabbids Rumble is probably the hardest game I've reviewed so far to pass the verdict onto, because it's really the mixed baggiest one of them, even though that's not a word. But if it was a word, it's kind of obvious what it would mean. Basically, the battle system involved a lot of strategy, and collecting the rabbits and just seeing them all was a great deal of fun. And this game portrays the rabbit's charm very well. However, the frustration that you'll get when missing a hit and just us missing entirely. Not to mention the fact that you can't get all the rabbits during the main story, and the recycled minigames, and the grinding. This game does have a good deal of flaws. So after thinking about it for a little bit, I've finally come up with my verdict. It is a 3 out of 5. Nothing spectacular, but nothing terrible either.